Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's good.
we
So
are.
I voted today.
Good job, Michael!
I was going to say some things I voted for, like there's some amendment
Oh,
stuff,
yeah,
but I'm not
no.
going to, it's not the
No,
place for
no.
the church. So,
I'm going to vote at like 2:30. Todd said at our place, it was only like a 15-20 minute wait.
yeah, there's no
Wasn't
lines,
bad.
zero. When I drove by, there's nothing there.
I'm
So
excited. I hope it's still like that at 2:30 because that's when me and Ava are going to go.
it says we're live.
Yeah,
Nope, that took me to my Mornings and Mike.
no.
Why'd I do that?
Just kidding.
We are live.
Oh, yeah, Nathan says thumbs up.
We have a guest today. Nathan
We have a
Harkins
guest.
is behind the camera.
Now Nathan has to say hi. Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Hi.
I'm trying to get it to come up. It doesn't
Um,
like me. Doesn't want to come up.
We have 7 people watching.
Okay,
Yay!
so we'll go ahead and go. I was going to try to share it, but it's not working right now.
The share thing?
Yeah.
Oh. There's like floaty hair like
So I tried
flying
to
around
share
in
it.
here. I don't know what's going on, but
Ooh, live. Let's see. Got it. Oh, turn the sound down, Allison. Let's see if I can. No, it's not going to let me.
so we are not talking about politics today.
Yeah.
We're not.
But get out and vote.
Go vote, but we're
Yeah,
not
go
talking
vote.
about politics.
Yeah. I talked a little bit about this morning.
Did you?
Well, just
Oh,
the-
I did see that.
The scripture lent itself, because I pick those ahead, weeks
Yeah.
in advance sometimes.
Yeah.
What I'm going to talk about, but that one lent itself to actually, ironically, talk about this morning a little bit. So, are we? Is it noon? It's noon.
We're good.
We're good to start. So, we started a new series this week.
Yes.
Called Reclaim the Table, right?
Yes.
Of course, this is called Table Talk, where we try to emphasize the importance of having conversation between people, healthy conversation, and
Most of the time.
Well, oh man, I was listening to a podcast, and they were saying, the conflict, the dialogue, as long as it's done in a healthy manner, right? So as long as we're not attacking each other, because Allison and I probably, I don't know, we agree a lot, but we probably don't always agree. And when we don't, clearly she's right and I'm wrong because I know how this works. And so see, she knows. And but the conflict is necessary and it's important. And I think it was Rob Bell I was listening to. He's like, "You ever seen The Matrix?"
Yeah.
So The Matrix, the premise is, spoiler alert from a movie from like.
They're sold. Spoiler.
Well, there's a savior, Neo, and it goes through this whole thing about how they've created the robots, the machines have created all these different societies, and the only one that works is where there's somebody that bucks the system and gives them hope because you need the conflict. And somewhere in the conflict is actually the truth, or however you want to describe that, but the
Yeah.
conflict is necessary.
It's like the light and dark side of the force.
Yes!
Gotta have it.
It's like duct tape, right? There's a light side, there's a dark side, it holds the universe
Oh.
together. No, not the same thing. Okay, so
I've not heard that one before.
yeah, the Force. I love Star Wars. So do you.
So we did use the placemats at our house
Yes.
last night with the 3 of us that were there. And it was good. Here's the thing about that. I mean, I say it's good because I made it. No, I'm just kidding. I did make it, but
That's
not
something
why
I
I'm
would
saying it's
say.
good.
Well done.
It's good because, usually I think in family situations especially, don't we just like default to the same old conversation? And usually it involves nagging our kids, like, what homework do you have tonight? Like, why is this
Dude, that
assignment late?
is 100% true in my house.
What do you have for lunch? Like, the same question.
Why do you have a B+, right?
Oh, yeah.
You're grounded.
Right,
So,
and
yeah.
so this made you have some kind of
Yes.
completely different conversation where you start to actually get a little bit more inside information into
Yeah.
who they are, and it's interesting their responses because you can't predict what they're going to say and why. So I thought it was good because it's like intentionality around those conversations so we get to know our families better.
It was ironic. You would think you would know
You
the
would think-
ones closest to you the best, but it's not
No,
necessarily
you
true.
just do the daily, like, everyday little habits things, and you don't actually have good conversations. Now, I do with my spouse. Hopefully with your
Right.
spouse you do. But does anyone else find this, that with your children, sometimes it's hard? Like, you have to kind of manufacture these conversations a little bit because they live in a different world than you. Like, you're
Well,
not-
and we think that it's our job to parent. It is, but you know what I mean? Like, then the parenting takes over instead of, having
Relating.
dialogue and conversation.
yeah, yeah.
So, I don't know if Megan watches this or not. Megan Nolan, one of my good friends, calls me yesterday at like noon, and she's like, hello, what's going on? She's like, I used the placemat thing. I was like, what? She goes, I'm sitting there, and I have it in front of me, and she was like, started talking to Connor, her son. And she was, I'm asking Connor these questions, and Connor's like, what are you doing, right? So I tell that story, but she said she loved it. I tell the story because all of us, like, he's like, are you this interested in me? You know,
Yeah.
that's not what she said, but that's how I took it as
Yeah.
we get into this habit of, and I'll be honest with you, you said we don't do it to our spouses. I do it to Stacy all the time. You know, you just get into you're talking about business or
Yeah.
her day at the office or your day, instead of, how was your, it's a weird way to say it, but how was your soul? Like, how, like, I don't know, I forget.
Yeah.
And so,
It gets boiled down to nuts and bolts, and then it's like it's easy to get irritated and like just that's why we can let our hair down at home, but like when all you do is nitpick and talk about these surface level things and you're not building that bond up, it's
Right.
easy to get like short with each other.
well, because there's no, it's the mechanics of life. It's going through the motions instead of actually investing, and again, in my head I'm like, of course I invest in my kids, but do I? Do I? I mean, all the
Yeah,
time.
it's
Yeah,
hard.
okay, so they couldn't be for their math homework and science homework. We work through, which I love actually. I love when we're doing, I don't know, we're trying to find an area of a room, rhombus.
Right.
And I was like
Yeah.
going through this and kind of, we're all working, anyway. But I'm like, those are important moments, but what's more important is, those questions we had, and it always happens at a table. Or in my house, we sit at the bar a lot, which is just another table, right?
Yeah.
And so, y'all struggle with this?
Yeah, did anybody use the questions this week? And if you don't know what we're talking about, we made placemats because we're talking about how to take back your dinner table time with your family. And so the placemats just had conversation starters on them. And so I just wonder if anybody used them or something similar, or if they do something different at dinner to spur on conversation. And also, do you find that as your kids get older, this thing gets harder? Like, I don't know though, Nathan, do you have trouble when you're trying to get to know Finn? It's like those prodding questions and he just
doesn't answer them.
just doesn't answer.
Whatever, that kid answers in sign language.
Yeah,
He's like, I'm always amazed with that kid. Nathan and
is-
Haley, they have a little he was
Got a
just
little
baptized. Yeah, he's just over a year, is that right?
Well,
Year and a half.
Year and a half now.
Yeah.
Goodness.
So, but there is a window where it's easier. I
Yeah.
feel like ages 3 to like maybe 11, 12, and then it gets harder again.
Junior high is
Yeah.
when they start, they're exploring their boundaries, they're pushing you away a little bit.
Yeah.
And, my youngest is 12 now, so I'm experiencing that.
Going
Did I talk
through
about this on Sunday? I didn't get to go trick-or-treating this year for the first time in 20 years.
Did you hand out candy though?
Well, we had candy, but
We had a lot. I made a cool candy shoot.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Oh, did you?
And we had a lot, but I did overbuy, and I meant to bring it here to donate it to We Cared, so I won't eat
I
it.
just pelted kids, just
Because I
threw it
had
at them.
extra. You just threw it at 'em. I was glad to see so many kids out. I was
Oh, there was
like,
a ton,
There's
yeah.
some normalcy going on here.
Yeah,
This
well,
is
we we're figuring this out. We're smart people. We can figure out, and that's a whole other subject. But we can figure this out, right?
Yeah.
We can be like the plexiglass. We got this figured out.
We
We're throwing spit marks all over this because when we talk, it's so
every
strange.
week we're like, we should clean this. We never actually.
What are people saying, Aim? I see lots of comments coming up here. So
So Chuck said that they talk about school a lot at the table.
yeah,
Ashley said they sometimes play games like I Spy. She has little kids, or she'll ask random questions. They haven't done the placemats yet, but she was planning to do that tonight. Elizabeth said they took the electronics away at the table so that the kids would start talking.
we do
about
that.
their
We
day.
do that. We say put them on the counter.
The phones are-
Like don't even turn them upside down because then they vibrate still and stuff. Like they have to go on another counter. And sit down.
Kendall said she found that her teenager talked more when they had car time together, but now that they're not going to school every day together because they're at home,
Yeah.
she said we've lost that time where we had the side-by-side conversation. Chuck is cracking me up. He said his kids talk through every detail of the day. He gave the example. after independent reading time, I sneezed 3 times, but only one person said bless you.
Kids are jerks. No, I'm saying that.
Well, sneezing is like big news these days because people are worried you're sick.
We were at a volleyball game Saturday, and so it's Brian, Stacy, and I, and we're sitting there, and Brian says to me, we're all masked up. He's like, I had to sneeze. I'm like, well, sneeze. I'm scared they're gonna look at me. I'm like, just sneeze, man. It's fine. Like,
You hold
if
it
we
in.
come to that, right? Is that where we are?
You hold it in and implode.
Like, blow your eardrums out or
Yeah.
something. I mean,
I do that.
So, Christy said when their daughter, who's now a freshman in college, was little, they used to ask, what made you laugh today?
Oh, that's a good one.
oh, that's
Great
so
question.
good.
Yeah,
I'm
that's a
gonna
good
use
one.
that, Christy, because we used to say we used to say ups and downs. What were your struggle? There's so many ways you could say it.
Yeah.
The Wesley way was, where did you see God? Which people don't know how to answer that, so I don't ask that anymore.
Yeah.
Because most people, when you say that, they want magic Disney Jesus.
Uh-huh.
Like they're like they expect. Yeah, I had a miracle today. And if you don't have that, they feel less than. They don't want to share stories. So where did you see good? Where did you struggle? But what was that again? I already forgot it.
What made you laugh?
What made you laugh? That's good.
That's a good one.
And then you can say what made you sad, right? Because it's always like, how can we celebrate? How can we pray with, or think about and put the good energy out towards people, right?
Okay, about your sermon on Sunday.
Okay.
So when you were talking about your story about the spaghetti,
Oh yeah,
and like you would hover and wait for leftovers,
dude.
that is my dog Bella. Like that's all I can
I
think
love
of.
Bella.
Not to liken you to a dog, but I'm saying
No, my wife does it all the time. That's fine.
she will gobble her food so fast, and our other dog like takes her sweet time because she's old and she only has like 6 teeth left. So she takes her forever to chew it up. And so Bella just stands there and watches, like waiting for Minnie to be done with her food. And then Minnie will walk off and she'll just lick the bowl and like try to get any last little crumb in it.
Our two do the same thing. One's a male. It's the male that's always it's Shadow, and then Puggles, who's the female, the fawn. She's weird. So Shadow, it's the second you pour it, he's eating the extra hand, right,
Yeah.
trying to get it. Puggles takes her time. She goes over and she takes her food out of the bowl, puts it on the floor, and then eats it off the floor.
Minnie does that too.
What, really?
She like plays with it or
Yeah,
something.
and then a piece will go astray, and Shadow's just right there.
And it's like
just goes and
driving
gets
the
it.
fat one crazy. The fat one's like, why are you doing this? Just
So I was the fat. I still am. Like I was like, you gonna eat all that? Like I was that kid, and I'm probably still that person. Now Brian, my son.
he's the
He's just
cleaner
like-
afterwards.
Well, he's the kid. When he first started living with us, he was like at my shoulder, and he's as tall as I am. I mean,
has
he's
grown
really
a
close.
lot.
He has, and he has poofy hair like me, and so, but his is curly, so I think he looks taller than me because he has poofy hair, and so, and he watches these. Actually, they're home right now. I'm not sure if he's on, but I know he watches because he'll say something about it later.
Really?
Yeah. So.
That'll be your conversation tonight at the dinner.
Yes, it will. Yes, we're having dinner at the dinner table tonight. So.
Well, I liked how in all seriousness, how
Yeah.
you related that sacrifice moment, that sacrificial moment to the table because, even just sacrificing your time to be there matters.
Mhm.
Just showing up and spending your time with people that you
Yeah.
care about. So I didn't think about, like, when we were brainstorming this whole thing, the sacrifice part of the altar and everything. So I don't know if you have anything
Well,
to say
and
about
when
that.
so we talk sermons Fridays weeks before to get the premise, and she types it all out, and Allison and I are always on the same page, and she helps me with ideas, and I feel like our that experience on Sundays it helped me, and I think we've grown in that experience together, and some of that, and then I do the research during the week, and so when I knew altars and tables were the same thing, but I go back and I start like, where's the first mention of an altar? And of course, it all related to sacrifice. And then there's this weird smell thing that I talked
the
about.
incense thing.
Yeah, the very first thing was God smelled. And so the symbol of the rainbow is a Christian symbol, and I know the LGBTQ community have claimed that, which is I'm all in support of that. It's a beautiful symbol, but God smells. It talks about the smell, and then he says, I'll never do that again. And then there's the story of the rainbow. And really the rainbow is the first Christian symbol that the story goes that God loves all people, right? Mm-hmm. Even the bad ones, right? Because God says, and it's a story. I don't know if that, I don't believe that God got mad and killed everybody on earth. But in all traditions, there's a story of a flood and that there's something happened. And so, and then when we read about the story, the rainbow is the first indication from what appears to be in the Old Testament a very angry God, a God that moves from the anger side of, we see a different side of God. We're made more aware that God loves everybody, right? And he uses the rainbow, as the story goes, in the symbol. And so, what we were talking about before that, I got off on a tangent. And,
the altar thing.
Yeah, and so, like, this is the first time that we see dialogue of God making a statement, and then that the smell, and of course they would have not known this, right? That the science behind smell is that smell can trigger a memory, and is a stronger indicator of remembering than anything else we do. More than we say a picture's worth 1,000 words.
Yeah.
Where a smell is worth 1,000 pictures.
And songs are close, I feel like, too.
Yeah.
You hear a song and it takes you right back to a
Does.
certain moment. Who's got a song that brought them back to a certain moment? Like one that every time you
We should
hear
sing.
it.
Oh
no.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. They
No.
love it when we sing.
Oh, dear. But you hear it and you're like right back at that 7th grade dance or whatever it is. you
Yeah.
know? But smells, it's like powerful.
So it's about remembering
Yeah.
and sacrificing. So don't forget the thing that you're supposed to be doing, right? And that's what, and of course then Moses, they make a whole, there's 2 altars then, one of incense. And so there's something about smell and food and remembering and sacrifice. And like all this stuff comes together. And then of course Jesus sits down at a table with food and bread and wine, and it says remember. It all culminates, all these symbols, all these things culminate in this one story we read about at the end of Jesus' life. And of course, and then we go to John. We read about this in Matthew, Mark, Luke. Then we go to John, and John has this other story, like a story behind the story of Jesus reminding us of why we're here at the table, that he washes the feet of the disciples. And like that, does that gross you out a little bit?
I mean, I
They
don't
would've
want to
been
be
wearing
washing someone's feet if that's what you're asking.
No. I just mean, it sounds gross because it would have been gross.
Theirs were super dirty.
Yeah, and Jesus
Yeah.
does this on purpose. And of course the disciples are like, you're the master, you don't do this. And Jesus was very intentional about, no, this is why we're here. And I find it not interesting. Jesus was brilliant. Like, he does this. He gets up from the table. They're already sitting down eating. He gets up and does this thing for them to say, this is why we're here. And he makes reference to it. And he says, you don't understand, but later you will. Right? And, of course, Sunday, that I linked that to my mom doing that for me with food. And then I find myself in situations now where I'm like, oh, now I get as a dad now, I get, oh, that's what she was saying.
For those of you who didn't see it, he was saying how when he was a hungry teenager and he wanted more spaghetti, his mom gave it to him.
And
Like,
now I
he
look
gave
back, at the time I was
her
just
food.
hungry.
Yeah.
Now I look back and now I realize what she was doing
But she
for me.
gave you hers.
Yeah, she would have been hungry. She said, oh, that gets me in the feels a little bit. But that's, and then I'm like, oh, that's what, Jesus was doing. And I think we just have these moments of realization of what was happening. And I think we forget. If you're a Christian watching this, how many times have you had communion where we've forgotten that there's such a deeper meaning to that, and that it can happen every day in our life. It doesn't have to be once a month at a church. It could be that sacrifice, that discussion, that intentional stuff can be every time we sit down at a table, and the smells of food, and it makes us remember. And so I hope as you hear these things, the next time you smell home cooked bread or whatever smell, what is it? Chocolate chip cookies are one of those smells that take you back to your people to their childhood. Amy, what is it for you? What's the smell? What smell makes you think of home?
Well, I grew up on a farm. We always had like roast.
Ah,
in the oven.
yes.
So when I smell,
Pot roast.
pot roast.
I thought you were going to say like,
Manure?
I was like, Amy.
No, what I was going to say was always we were outside working, but we
Yeah.
put the dinner in the oven, and then you'd come in the house and, get
Yes.
ready, and you'd sit down after working hard. So that's like that always.
There's a question for the dinner table tonight for all you watching. So one thing, what makes you remember? What smell makes you remember good times? And the second thing is ask your family that tonight. Like when you're sitting around the table, like what's the smell? Because you all can't see this. When we asked Amy, her face lit up. She was like, oh, roast, right? And so I think, but again, it's that whole remembering thing. And it's so good to remember those things. And then you start to remember, oh my gosh, there's things from my childhood that, like I had forgotten some of that stuff. Like I remember the event, but now when I remember it, it means something else. Do you do that?
Yeah, you look back with wiser, more experienced eyes, and so you can reinterpret what you thought was the case.
So, and then that it's a direct correlation to our faith, right? So the Bible helps us to remember where we come from. And so as we study the Bible, and the Bible, it's not a deity, but as we study stories and we tell stories and we hear stories again and again, the meaning can change for us. So our faith can change. And then the language I use is what and who God is to us then changes also along with that. God doesn't change. God is love and goodness, but our view or the revelation of God to us can change over time. It's like when we hear a song, and you ever listen to a song from when you were like in junior high? You're like, my parents? Actually, they didn't let me listen to it, but I listened to some songs and I'm like, oh!
They let me listen to them?
Right? Or like WAP right now?
Oh my gosh.
Goodness! Every time I hear it playing upstairs, I'm like, oh my gosh,
I mean,
what is happening?
It's shocking, that one.
My mom's watching now, so Mom, I listened to some bad music when I was younger. Sorry.
Yeah. We shouldn't even go there about what that song is. If people don't know, you
Oh
you
yeah,
don't wanna know.
WAP stands for worship and praise. Amy's in the background going,
Ew! No, don't look it up.
oh, yeah, sorry about that. Don't Google that.
Don't Google that.
It is a song. It's on the radio. Okay. Anyway, so where were
That
we?
does not give me hope. That song does not give me hope for
No,
humanity.
but that was a really bad example. It's because I was talking about bad songs that I go back and listen to. But even some of those beautiful songs that I hear, what song did you do last week? Not this week. In worship, and it made me cry. It's one of my favorite songs.
It is well.
It is well with my soul. And Jesse sang it, actually. That's what it was.
Yeah.
And every time I hear that song, because it's not, there are days, there are months, there's times in our life where it's not well with our soul. And that's okay. But when I hear that song now, I grew up singing that song all the time. And it meant nothing. I shouldn't say that. It meant something. But it didn't.
Yeah.
Now I sing it. And so it's not just that I hear the words or I see the words differently, but it also brings back all these memories of my childhood and my early stages of my faith and how much my faith has changed in 41 years.
Yeah.
And it makes me cry every time I hear it. I just love that song. And that's because I'm remembering. That's because I'm seeing things different. That's because it's weird to say this about self, but as we become, enlightened just means that the light is shed on things in our life or in our past that used to be dark, right?
Yeah.
So to experience enlightenment just means that things are being illuminated that you didn't see before. And I feel like I experience that every time I hear that song, and it speaks to my soul. So, did we get way off topic?
Do we have comments, Amy? We haven't
Yeah.
let Amy tell us much.
No, not much right now. People are listening to you talk.
Okay. Interesting, Chuck. Okay. Said something about pot. I don't know. And
He thought I was going to say pot instead of pot roast.
Oh!
Amy had
Those crazy South
Amy had
Dakota
grew up on a
farms.
very interesting farm.
Yeah.
That's,
Yep. That's funny.
all right, so I'm going back to notes here. So,
Well, I wonder
about
if,
9 minutes.
like, if people have specific memories about their dinner times, like their family dinner times, and was it really different back then? Like, did you just talk about the mundane little things, or did you have real conversations? And I have a hard time. I try to remember, and I have a hard time remembering our family
So there's
dinners.
a few things. That
I
story
know
I,
we
told
had them.
Sunday.
I know we did, because
Yeah.
we did, but I
Yeah.
just don't remember the conversations, I guess.
Well, I remember we had these old wooden chairs, and I felt like my dad. I say always. I remember him fixing them several times. He had to glue them back together because they would break. And then I remember just being old. They were like wooden, but they were like round in the back, if I remember right. I don't know. Mom's watches. She probably remembers, but. And then bits and pieces, and I remember stories. I remember cooking with my mom a lot, and I don't know. But the conversation. I don't know if I remember a lot of the conversation.
But do you look back with an overall positive feeling
about family dinners?
Yeah, I do. I never
Yeah.
remember being like, but I know some people probably had different experiences. Sometimes those times are not positive, or they were non-existent.
Yeah, I think I would say they're positive. I remember, they probably happened a lot more when I was younger than when I was a teenager. When you're a teenager, you're gone a lot, and this is what I'm trying to get us to, is that place where we can invite, because I have all teenagers. Well, I guess no, Kira's 12.
You
but
always have a house full of
I do
teenagers.
have there's a lot of teenagers who live there. I'm dad to a lot of people, and Stacy is mom to a lot of people, and so but we try to. We talk about a lot of stuff at our, and I always, our table we use sometimes, but often you've been to my house. I have a center island, and we often gather around that because it's like kind of the center of the room, and we do talk about. Brian's Hispanic, so we talk a lot about racism, right? And we talk a lot about our RBG just passed away, and so we talked about we just talk about women's rights, just a lot of stuff that my kids love talking about. So I try to talk about things that I know they're passionate about and that they're talking about in school. And so we do. I feel like we do that, just not as much as I would like to. Mm-hmm. And so are people telling? What do you talk about around your dinner table? Like, what is it?
Well,
I know you mentioned earlier a few things, but
you'd asked about dinner time as a child. Chuck said his parents still have the same table and bench that he would sit on as a kid, and they do Friday night dinner at his parents' house, and his kids sit on.
Well, that's a very common thing.
This is hard.
That's nice.
The dinner tables, specifically the ones you dine at, are often passed from generation to generation.
Yeah, you don't throw away tables.
Yeah.
It's like,
and so because of that, we have a shortage of tables for people in need. We have plenty of couches and,
like donated furniture, you mean?
Yeah, so we have a ministry that's called, what's it called, Amy?
Relatable.
Nope.
Fresh Start
Furnishings.
Oh.
Where we furnish entire houses, or we help people furnish houses, and we house a lot of that at a storage facility we have in Lee Summit, our missions building. And a thing that we're always short on is tables, right? And so this goes to that conversation that we're going to talk about in church here in a few weeks, about we're going to have an opportunity to make tables, because tables are a thing that are in high demand, and it's just, how often, have you ever replaced your table at home?
Todd built us
He built that one,
a new base, but we kept the same glass top.
Yep.
So I guess we kept it.
It's just one of those things that you don't, you don't see it. It's one of the things, and it's crucial to a home. But the reason that people pass it on is because it's so important, right? And so I love that idea. I just want us to be a part of helping facilitate new memories with very nice tables. And we have one up front here. We'll talk more about that here in a few weeks. But yeah, I'm excited about it.
And these are donated to like families who are trying to gain housing, like they were.
So it's foster care system.
Uh-huh.
So it's so maybe you want to be a foster parent. Maybe your table's not big enough. Maybe you need a bigger table or a second table. Maybe you're graduating out of the foster care system and you're 17 years old and you have no furniture.
Gotcha.
Okay. Maybe you're trying to get back on your feet and you're part of the Hillcrest organization where they try to, and you need to. And you need furniture to get your first place because you've gone through a budget and paid off debt and got a job. Maybe you're getting into the Hillcrest Transitional Housing, and we have 4 units, Amy, 8 units, 4 units that we take care of and manage and maintain, and so we provide the furniture for them, and maybe that needs to be swapped out. So the list is very long of things that we're involved in, and I expect that list to grow over time but that's our focus initially, is foster care, graduating out of it, and the relationships we already have with other organizations.
Well, it makes sense that tables would be short because, I can think back to when we first moved into our place and like we've gone through many couches,
Yeah.
And then you donate them.
Yep.
But then the table has been the same table the whole time.
And that's the norm. And so, and we're not just going to they're not going to be junk tables. If you've seen the table that we have built, and we'll talk about this in a few weeks, but they're very nice tables. And so actually they look like a really nice farmhouse table.
Yeah.
And that's just the first one we've done. So are we at time? We got a few minutes. Are people saying stuff, Amy?
Well, when you asked about memories at the table, Ashley said that she remembers being forced to eat food that she didn't like. And Chuck said his mom made him eat broccoli and he immediately ran to the bathroom.
Amy, did you ever get in trouble at home at the table?
I did. We had a rule that you couldn't sing at the table.
Mm-hmm.
And so you would get 3 strikes. The first one was free. And once you got 3 strikes, you had to go eat in the porch. And I ate in the porch a lot because I just was stubborn and like.
And nothing about you has changed.
Well, that's an interesting rule. Like, I have never had to tell my kids to stop singing. Like, they
We sing
hate
at our
singing.
table.
They don't like to sing, either one of them. And so, well, Ava likes to sing, but anyway, she would never just bust out a song at the table. So that's a funny rule to me.
We don't sing. We sing a little bit, but our favorite thing to do is I just did this Sunday because Kylie's practicing. She has her permit, right?
Uh-huh.
And so, but we've done this for years. We get in the car. She drives now, but well, right now we play Christmas music and we sing at the top of our lungs. Normally, she has a Christian playlist. She's like, "Oh, this makes." She remembers, right? She makes me think of this, and we'll go around the sunroof open and the windows down, and we'll just sing at the top of our lungs. And so, but the table's a great place to sing.
Interesting.
Sorry if Amy's parents are watching. She just ratted them out.
Well, I think because my dad was trying to listen to the news.
Oh, okay.
Like on
Yeah.
TV, you know.
He needs to hear the weather report. He's a farmer.
Right.
Yeah.
So then I was annoying.
You stop all that singing, Amy. You don't ever sing now. You should sing.
Do you know how I met Amy?
No.
So we're at the Lee Summit campus, and I met Amy because she was Kylie's music teacher at church.
Well, I knew you used to
Sunbeam
do that.
singers?
Yeah.
Sunbeam singers.
Sunbeam
yeah,
singers.
3 to 5-year-olds.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I've never actually heard you sing.
She can sing.
How's that? Okay, I have to cough, y'all. It's not COVID.
Oh goodness. First some Lysol sprayer down.
Oh my gosh. No, you know how like sometimes you just swallow your own spit wrong? That's what happened. Oh my
Things
God.
I never thought we'd talk about on a, what do we call this? Podcast?
Table talk.
Table talk. Yeah. Swallowing your own spit. Okay, well there you go.
We all do it. Gotta do it. Are we there? It's 12:30.
Yeah, we're there. We're probably over a little bit. Okay. Thank you all for joining us. Please send us questions if you have questions. If there's things you want to talk about from week to week. So if you go to our church and you have a question about the sermon, we want this space to be that. If you're joining us and you're new, I hope we're telling the stories good enough that if you have questions, post them on here and I want to answer them the next week. I would love to have this be extremely interactive where you can ask difficult questions of us and we can
Like
answer
stump
those.
the chump?
Yeah.
Not that you're a chump, but.
Oh, I'm a chump. I'm a chump. Yeah. Yeah, you notice you said stump the chump, not chumps. Like it wasn't plural. She
You're the
only
master.
included me in that. Listen, she's the resident theologian too. It's not just me. So, thank you for joining us.
Spend some time at your table with your family this
Yeah.
week.
Have a great week.
Bye.